The 2025 NBA season hasn't even started yet, but I think it's time we identify our make or break teams for this season. I mean, we have to do it right now. We can't do it in the middle of the season. Let's go. Let's start it off.
And this is going to be the off of the strength of what they did last season, how they ended. For me, where they are, where they ended in the standings. For me, where they may have added or subtracted from their roster. For me, a
Mm.
make season for 2025 would be a team that made the playoffs and surpassed where they were in the playoffs last season. That's number one. That's kind of how I identify a make season. Because let's just be honest, if you're not making it to the playoffs, your season was a bust. Now, you may have had some players that showed up individually, but as a team collectively, if you didn't make it to the playoffs, then it's a no-go for me, right? Your team, your season was a bust, and you need to do something different for the following season. Because let's just be honest, every team is fighting for a playoff spot. Now, some of them may screech in through a play-in tournament spot, but it's a playoff spot nonetheless. Otherwise, why are you
Mm-hmm.
playing, right? So if
Yeah.
if it's a break season, in my account, I believe that if it's a break season, you don't make the play, you make the playoffs, right? And you are either you don't make the playoffs or you made the playoffs, but you didn't go past where you were as your standard. Something got to give. How many more years or how many more seasons will you make the playoffs, but you can't get over the hump, right? So that's how I identify make or break when I'm thinking about teams and where they could be in the 2025 season. So let me start off with
Okay.
my first one. You got something to
Okay.
say? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, for me it's pretty simple. It's like I'm looking at this year's roster
Mm-hmm,
and I'm
mm-hmm.
like, okay, well, if this group of guys or group of players can't make a run, then it's time to blow it up. It's time to we got to do something different. Yeah.
At this stage, right? Yeah, yeah. So I say my first team that I'm thinking this is a make or break season, and I'm sorry, here we go again. It's the Philadelphia 76ers. Yes, make or break season. How many more seasons must Joel Embiid the process
Wow.
go to the semi-conference finals and not pass it? I'm just sorry. How many more times must the 76ers add to the roster? They first of all, one when Joel Embiid was drafted to the 76ers, soon after Ben Simmons came and they had a nice little run, right? And then that for some reason didn't work out. Then they brought in Jimmy Butler for a season, and then they brought in James Harden, and now they're bringing in Paul George. How many more people must you bring in to help support Joel Embiid and the 76ers to get past the semi-conference finals in the East? How many more seasons? So for me,
Mm.
the process, if we can still call it that, yes, I believe that this is a break season for the Philadelphia 76ers if they don't find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah, at least that. We wait. I'm waiting. The fans are waiting. So we're going to continue to allow them just to scave through, make it to the playoffs. Yay, got the playoffs. Ooh, did round one. And then they fall apart in round two. We're going to keep allowing that to happen and not saying that at some point this has to be a break season for them. And is it time to blow it up? I don't know. Maybe we'll see at the end of the season. But yeah, for me, the 76ers got to get past the second round. It's imperative. Otherwise, it's broken. So, yeah,
Yeah, but it will be their first season with Paul George.
I don't care. It doesn't matter. Joel Embiid has been there for a long time, and Joel Embiid is a phenomenal player. What?
So there's no patience. Is it-
Oh, I'm sorry. Joel Embiid was drafted in 2014. Excuse me, 2014.
I'm
Y'all,
talking about this rendition of the Sixers with
nah.
Paul George.
Nope, nope. Paul George
Okay.
is not a new player. He's not new to playing basketball. And then Paul George can be anything what he was in Indiana. What? We wanted that. We were supposed to be patient with James Harden. I'm sorry. Our patience was supposed to continue on with Jimmy Butler. We still have patience when we had Ben Simmons. When will? So we're gonna allow Paul George, new to the roster. We're gonna wait on him for another 2 seasons, y'all.
Mm.
Mm-mm. For me, it's a break season for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Okay, okay, that's fine. And for me, I have the Los Angeles Clippers first on my list. I mean, used to have a big three. Now they're down to one in and one out. You got Kawhi Leonard,
Mm-hmm.
still hasn't touched the court. I think the LA Clippers got significantly better over the offseason. Anytime Kawhi Leonard is interviewed and asked, "Hey, who stood out for you during the training camp?" And he says nobody stood out. That tells me two things: A, he's not excited for this season, and two, they didn't do enough. They didn't do enough to contend, I think, in the West. So, I think this is a make or break season for the LA Clippers. You got Coach Ty Lue, 6 years with the LA Clippers, 5 years as the head coach. The injuries on top of injuries, they've had many renditions of the Los Angeles Clippers. They got a brand new arena. And honestly, I don't know how they're going to fill it to watch these games because it's really nobody to come see. You don't know who you're going to see. Don't let James Harden get injured. Kawhi Leonard's in or out. Now we're looking at Terrence Mann, Derrick Jones Jr., and Zubac. They're not going to fill an arena. This is a make or break season for the Los Angeles Clippers.
So the arena will be full because it's brand new and the tickets will be going for $5. I'm just saying somebody going to be, they may not make no money, but somebody going to be in them seats. I believe that. But also, and they're going to be giving away free tickets to the high schools. I'm just telling you how they're going to feel, it, right? But and to use Kawhi Leonard as your measuring stick is a fallacy. You know Kawhi Leonard ain't going to give you nothing but nothing. He is not a measuring stick for any success or demise from words. Now, from his actions, absolutely. But from what he says, you're going to rely on him when he barely talks anyway? He's not even the leader of the Clippers. We've already established that that's not what his role is. So I can't take his word. He found nobody to stand out. Was he even watching the game? Was he even there? Was he getting treatment? Come on. Where is he when we're talking about practice? Where is he really? So, I would never use Kawhi Leonard as a measuring stick for anything that the Clippers are doing. I need for Kawhi Leonard to get healthy and get his butt on the court. That's what I need for him to do. But I could agree with you. It's a make or break season for the Clippers. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, their standing in the West is a slippery slope anyway. And I'm going to be honest. Any team at the bottom of the West, you got a chance to get their spot if they slip, or at least move up to the play-in tournament. But yeah, slippery slope for the Los Angeles Clippers, 100% agree. Make or break for sure. Yes. Mm-hmm. I have another make or break season, and hopefully more so make than anything, and it's the Sacramento Kings. I think with the inclusion of DeMar DeRozan, this is a really make season for them. I think they have what it takes. Now, yes, I know that there's still a slight hole in their defense. When they traded off Mitchell, I think that they kind of hindered their defense a little bit because DeMar DeRozan ain't going to give you much. But with their offensive power that they have, I think that they have a chance to go a little bit further in the playoffs than they did last season. I think DeMar DeRozan helps add to that. With that secondary scoring option, you need to account for DeMar DeRozan on the floor. You have to. De'Aaron Fox will not be the only person you need to check for. Because even if DeMar DeRozan's on that three-point line and you kind of say, he don't really shoot threes, he may nail one for you.
Yeah.
He just may do it, right? And then if he even remotely gets inside the arc, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So I think that they have an opportunity to really finally push the needle again. They finally made it to the playoffs in 2024 after a 16-year drought. So they can only go up from here, especially with the inclusion of DeMar DeRozan. So I think that they have a chance to really have a great season, and their season for me is a make season. So yeah, I look forward to watching the Sacramento Kings in 2025.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of teams know about them now because you mentioned 2023. Hey, people were like, "Oh my goodness, where did they come from?" But right. I think now they are definitely on the map. So I think teams will be accounting for them when they talk about, man, we got to play the Kings tonight. We need to get our rest. We need to get our treatment. We need to be ready.
I talk about DeMar DeRozan, but see this: if the Sacramento Kings decide to close their roster or close the games with DeMar DeRozan, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk, and Domantas Sabonis,
what you gonna do with that? Yeah.
And if Keegan Murray's shot is even hitting that night, yeah. So Sacramento Kings, be on the lookout, y'all.
Okay, I think the Phoenix Suns are facing a make or break season. Think about it. They've had 3 coaches in the last 3 years. Started off with them firing Monty Williams, and then they said, okay, let's bring in Frank Vogel. Oh, okay, no, Frank Vogel, no, we don't like your style of coaching. Let's bring in Coach Bud, a championship head coach. Vogel was a championship head coach too. Seems like it just wasn't enough for the Phoenix Suns. Now, Coach Bud, allegedly, his style of coaching includes 3-point shooting, playing fast, and spacing. Well, see, you got 3 lights out shooters, but you got 1 basketball. But now they have a legit point guard in Tyus Jones. I think if Tyus can't get them the ball where they need it, and make sure everybody, is involved in the offense, I don't think it can be done. This is a make or break season for the Phoenix Suns. And you're talking about the 3 players just breaking the bank, right? And to get kicked out in the first round, what is the investment all about? It's just terrible. You got KD, a future Hall of Famer, Devin Booker the same, Bradley Beal, I guess so. They got to go deep in the
playoffs. They have to go deep. You cannot have all that firepower on your roster. I think, and this is probably something that's off the court. I think that the Phoenix Suns organization need to figure out a new marketing strategy. I know it's the beam for, Sacramento Kings. What is that one thing that can get fans outside of the market on board to really check for the Phoenix Suns? Because I'm sorry, the Phoenix Suns, their whole something about it. Is it that the sports networks need to talk about them more? Something is missing, because apparently the plain skill set of the Phoenix Suns players, especially in Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and Bradley Beal, wherever you put them on your list, like, that ain't enough. I don't know. Something about it is missing. I think that they need a better marketing strategy. And this is coming from someone who want to see them more out in the open. If you're not in their market and they're not playing a team in your market, are people really checking for them? Like, if you don't have League Pass and you don't have NBA TV, you can say that for most teams, but something about them, when you're talking about Kevin Durant, why is it? It's lackluster for me. Like, it's just lackluster. But I do believe that if they don't go deep in the playoffs, and I'm not talking about making it to the playoffs, and they made it to the 6th seed. But if you look at the standings in 2024, they had the same record as the team that was number 7. So any one loss could have sent them to the play-in tournament.
Right.
So they barely made it, right? So I'm like, they did, but then it falls apart. Like, you can't have Kevin Durant on your roster and you not making it to the conference finals. I just don't see why it's possible, but apparently it is. So yeah, make a break season for the Phoenix Suns, absolutely, and fix that marketing strategy, Phoenix Suns organization, quickly.
But to think they only played 31 games together, I mean, I don't know if it's time to throw in a towel or not, but if anybody is disposable, it has to be Bradley Beal.
Oh, wow. Especially with them bringing in Tyus Jones.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bradley Beal will always write his check whether or not he's on a roster if he can't play. He's always injured. So, good for them for bringing in another point guard that's a little bit more, I mean, not maybe as more tenured as Bradley Beal, but at least someone who can play. And if you watch Tyus Jones play with the Grizzlies, now I hope you don't watch him with the Wizards, because you didn't see that one.
Yeah, no.
Not with the Washington Wizards. That was a off season for the Washington Wizards. I mean, I was hopeful that he would be able to do something there, but it didn't happen. But with the Phoenix Suns, yeah, I can see it, most definitely. Now, this is unconventional nonetheless, but a make or break season is most definitely the New Orleans Pelicans, and let me tell you why. That Zion Williamson's contract, they said if you do not play 61 games, your contract in 2026 will not be fully guaranteed. Matter of fact, this make or break season for the New Orleans Pelicans is on the back of a healthy Zion Williamson 2.0. It just is. If Zion Williamson does not play, especially in his first ever playoff game, first ever, this man has been in the league for quite some time now. This will be his first ever playoff game if they make it that far. And they can make it that far without him. At least a play-in tournament is where they ended in the 2024 season. But in order for the New Orleans Pelicans to even see an 8th seed or higher, Zion Williamson needs to be at his 100% best, 100% healthy, and he needs to do it for the long term. And unfortunately, if he personally doesn't do it, they can waive him. It's in his contract for this season, 2025. He can be waived. Like, so if he don't have nothing else to fight for your contract. And if that's going to help the New Orleans Pelicans propel them to a solid playoff spot, I'm all here for it. I'm all here for it because don't waste the talent of Brandon Ingram, which I don't know if he'll be there by the end of the season anyway, but don't waste his talent, right? Don't mess around with Trey Murphy. You got players on this roster that can really help propel the New Orleans Pelicans be at their best and and at least go to the playoffs. But it rests on the back of Zion Williamson 2.0. And so I'm expecting them. This is a make or break season for them because we may not be looking at the same New Orleans Pelicans in 2026 if Zion Williamson don't get it together. So and
Oh,
he may not be on the roster. So
that would be crazy.
yeah. So
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And they added DeJounte Murray. I just keep thinking about, okay, DeJounte running the break,
mhm.
Zion, you got CJ,
I'm
Trey, and
telling
them.
you,
Oh, it's going to be,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But it's only that if Zion Williamson is healthy, the team is the core of the success of the New Orleans Pelicans. If we've seen it season after season, is in Zion Williamson's shoes. It's in his feet. It's in his left foot. As a matter of fact, and don't get it injured again because your contract says that if you get it injured again, we may be able to, not give you all your money. So again,
Wow.
Zion Williamson holds the success, unfortunately, of the New Orleans Pelicans for the 2024-2025 season. And so that's a big burden to carry. But I think he can do it. We waiting for you. I'm waiting for you, Zion.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
All
In the
right.
playoffs, sir. In the playoffs.
Okay, cool. So look, I think the Milwaukee Bucks,
Hmm.
yes, are facing a make or break season, similar to the Phoenix Suns, 3 coaches in 3 years,
Yeah.
right? Coach
Yeah.
Budenholzer, and then they brought in Adrian Griffin. You know what? Coach Adrian Griffin got an unfair shake. They didn't give him any opportunity, time, patience, nothing. It was ridiculous, right? I think they only had him for 43 games, and then they brought in the closer himself, Doc Rivers. You know what? Doc Rivers' winning percentage wasn't much better than Coach Griffin. It was. And when you look at it, and they lost in the first round to the Indiana Pacers. Now, granted, they did have a few injuries, the Bucks, but they brought over Damian Lillard to fill in those gaps. It didn't work. And I think this is a make or break season. They're going to blow it up if this doesn't work. Giannis has been with the same franchise for 11 seasons. You don't think he want to win another championship? He hasn't tasted the NBA finals since they won in 2021. You think Giannis is going to continue to lose? You think Damian Lillard left Portland after 11 seasons to go to Milwaukee to lose? Mm-mm. They're going to have to
Uh,
make a change.
the Bucks. Man. I just it's just unfortunate. I'm gonna tell you right now, Doc Rivers has favor
Oh,
in
yeah.
the NBA universe. Oh, he has favor. Absolutely. Because the chances that he get, Silas could never. The
Uh,
chances that he get, Van Gundy would never.
no.
I'm just saying he has favor for sure. And that's what you want. It's no different than any other job. If you got favor in the people that are higher up, you'd be surprised at who you end up working with and how they move around the organization. Doc Rivers is another one. And I'm not saying that he hasn't earned previously some of this favor, but there does have to be a point where you need to show new success, right? When will we see that? And yeah, I don't know how much longer, but see, this is the thing. How you feel about the Milwaukee Bucks and what you just explained is exactly the same thing about the 76ers. Joel Embiid and Giannis Antetokounmpo are pretty much in the same boat. However, Giannis actually has a ring, right? So if he's sick and
Mhm.
tired, I get it. Joel Embiid has been fighting for a ring, finally got the MVP, finally got an MVP, but had to kind of, market himself for that one, right? So I just think that there has to be a point where your superstars on your roster are going to be sick of the antics, and they're like, y'all know, if you can't make it happen, let me go somewhere else that can make it happen. And their names are big enough that the checkbook will be open, even if they have to dispose of other maybe really great solid players on their roster to get them. So
Mhm.
yeah, I agree. Giannis can write his own check for wherever he wants to go. And if the Bucks want to keep that talent there, they're gonna have to go to the finals. Yes, most definitely. And Damian Lillard, you were brought over to help with that. So Make it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more. Make or break season. And this one is exciting for me because, baby, when I tell you that Ja Morant,
Oh,
the
yes.
Memphis Grizzlies, I coin it right now, will not be at the bottom of the West in 2025. Will not be. And Ja Morant is going to help with that. I am excited about what they have to bring forward. It is imperative that they are at the top, that they're at the top of the West in 2025. Why would I want to see the Grizzlies at the bottom? I understand why they were there last season. I get that. But this season, there's no excuse for them because we know what they can bring. And so, yes, the roster may be a little bit different, but Ja Morant is still that dog. So, in my opinion.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I'm just saying I expect to see them much more higher in the Western Conference. And for me, as a make or break season, it will be disappointing for me if the Memphis Grizzlies do not make it to the playoffs in 2025.
Yes. Big time. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I held my breath when I think he injured his ankle in preseason. I was like, oh God, here we go again. But it's preseason. It was probably just precautionary, right? Just sit out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go on, sit out, go on, ice it up, get your little cortisone injection shots, whatever you need to do, go on and do it. But when opening night starts for your team, I want you to be ready. So yeah, Memphis Grizzlies, checking for them. Make a break season. Now, if it is a break season for them, it's not all is not lost, of course, because we can always come up with the reasoning why he just got back. He's been out for a while. They need to fill in some holes. You can come up with some stuff. But some of these other teams that we just mentioned, you can't come up with some stuff anymore because
Uh-uh.
we've already said it all previous seasons. So again, the Memphis Grizzlies for me have grace, but I do believe they should be top 6, top 8 when it's all said and done, once the postseason begins.